Rocky. Rocky. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Coach, I hear you just fine. You're live
Okay.
on HBCU Coaches Corner. We are live on Syntex Sports and 94.5 FM HD2. And we have a great show planned for you tonight, guys. This is going to be an all-time great show. We have the legend himself, Doug Williams, coming on. The legend as a player, the legend as a coach, and man, it's fascinating the just how many friendships and connections Coach Cole has all throughout the HBCU HBCU community. Yeah, the community. Coach, it's amazing that the 40 years probably longer than that, Coach, the 40 plus years that you've been a part of HBCU sports, you've made connections with people from guys like Doug Williams to one of the legendary coaches we had, Coach Hayes. We had him on earlier this season. It's been absolutely fascinating to meet these guys who really were trailblazers and pioneers in HBCU sports. But before we get started with all that, Coach, I want to ask you, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Shoot, and just had election last night, and understanding we got a new president, and got up this morning, and I love teaching the kids. Had a great day at school today, and looking forward to this show and a special guest and really a special friend of mine, and just for him just to take time out of his busy day, and I can't wait till we get that part of it. But boy, we had some interesting games this past weekend, boy. People are really telling who they are.
Yeah, Coach. Coach. It's absolutely fascinating to think about all of the goings on that's been happening in the SWAC and in the MEAC, man. The favorites are getting knocked off. You know what I mean? There are people that are emerging that we thought would be contenders that end up being pretenders.
Yeah.
And then you have those teams, Coach, that we all knew would be good, potentially dominant, that have asserted themselves in the SWAC. And then in the MEAC, it seems like, you have not an upstart program, but a first year coach that is putting his mark on the MEAC. And so it's a lot going on. Just in general, Coach, what were your impressions of this week before we get into the specific games?
Well, like I talked last week, even though I had, we're talking about two of the best teams in black college football in South Carolina State and Florida. I mean, not Florida, but North Carolina Central. They were two different type. Where South Carolina State, with Chennis Berry down there, likes to hit you in the mouth. They've always played great defense. And more North Carolina Central was more the finesse team, and hit you in the mouth. Actually, won the game as North Carolina Central started off slow, and Trey Oliver made some great and like we thought he was going to do, made some great adjustments at halftime. They only had one first down, and I know we're gonna get into talking about that, but that was a big game. It was a shocker for some people, but not when you got two great coaches going at each other. Trey Oliver now gotta continue in that conference. He's just not gonna run through that conference anymore. And then when you look at the SWAC, you know, you never seen a Grambling team in last place. Prairie View, all of a sudden, after 20 years of struggling, when they went 0-80, you know, and finally got their programs going right. Now they're back at the bottom. You know, you got the Pine Bluff sitting in the middle. You got Southern. You know, I don't know what the word. I don't want to say limping into the, because they're not hurt, but they're squabbling. You know, up at the top. You know, and over on the east side, I mean the east side, we talked about the big three, and Jackson State is making a mark. Right now they're leading it. Of course, you know, the big game, if Alcorn could pull one off this week, is the Soul Bowl. And the Soul Bowl, if you know anything about Alcorn and Jackson State, used to be one of the biggest games every year. And I think it's going to be just that this year.
Yeah, Coach. It was interesting. It started off kind of weird, you know, Thursday, because honestly, and like I said, we're gonna get into it, but I honestly thought I had the MEAC figured out. You know, I thought NCCU would pretty much walk through the MEAC, and if Jackson State could hold on the rest of the season, then they would be playing Jackson State in the celebration mode. But it just goes to show you anything can happen, as you well know. And I just want everybody, all the Bishop Campbell fans that are let him know that he's on his way. It was my fault. I thought I had sent him a link to jump on. I had not. So charge it to my head, not my heart. I made a mistake. Matter of fact, we were just on the phone prior to getting on, and I sent him an email, and he didn't realize the time change. So I want to apologize to him for that, because I'm gonna end up getting him on here late. He's usually a stickler for time, so I want to apologize to him because he's a time sensitive guy. He's one of those guys that would much rather be early, an hour early than a minute late. Yeah. So go ahead. With no further ado, we got the Bishop in with us, and before we go started, we're going recapping last week. How you doing, Bishop?
Hey man, listen. Came back from homecoming. Enjoying myself. Got with many of our classmates. They dedicated our $100,000 plaque, so that was awesome. Got to do that. We were going on the 500K. Had a rough night last night, but we still gonna march on. So I hope we're here for people to relax, release, and we're gonna talk a little bit HBCU sports. Not gonna talk nothing else. We want people. We understand last night, but we are here for you all to relax a little bit. It's been stressful 24 hours, Coach.
Well, let me say this from a guy that's kind of new to this space, being completely immersed in it. This has been a breath of fresh air for me during this particular time in this regard. It's good to have something that's our own, that's just us. You know, I may get disappointed depending on other people. I'm never disappointed by us in that way, because we're pretty consistent about the things that are important to us. And it's just so good to be involved in this and kind of shut the world out for a little bit and just focus on what we have going as a community here in HBCU sports, man. I always want to thank the people who log on each and every week, because when I see people out at the games and stuff like that, man, because this has been a tremendous breath of fresh air for me, and I'm glad that I'm a part of this, especially during this time, Coach and Mr. Campbell.
Well, I just want to know, Mr. Campbell, I see this big old G behind you and Grambling. I mean, boy, way to rub it in. I mean, did you put some salt on it?
Man, wait a minute, hold on, man. I heard we haven't done waves tonight, man. Listen. Listen, man, you see, look, I got this from
let me be
Listen,
the first to tell you. 10 years from now, you interview. Don't be putting on Texas Southern after we get that.
Man, listen, man. I know when my bread is buttered. Them folks from Grambling helped start my business. So I'm going to represent Grambling. Man, listen, I was going to put the picture with me, the president, the band director, and the tiger, but I didn't want to hurt y'all feelings that bad. I keep trying to tell people I knew this.
Yeah, what you trying to get a job or something?
Man, listen, you gotta say, I saw Doug Williams play, man. Come on, listen. This is Doug Williams, man. I gotta let him know. So I have to put my band. Hey, listen, I can do this.
Hey, but before we get started, since I was on homecoming tour for a little bit, right? Tell me, what did I miss at FAMU? Just put me right there for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what's funny. When you get older, and Coach is gonna understand this, you start looking at things totally different when you go back on the campus. Because when you're on the campus, you were a child. And then you matriculate when you're in your partying phase. Now we're in the grown folks phase. Ain't partying, you're more distinguished. And you still just are amazed what comes out of that campus and the quality of people. But what you also, when you get older, you're amazed at what people are wearing, which is amazing. There's some little, and I know we have women that watch the show, but these girls were all wearing the same little outfit. It was cowboy boots and like these frilly shorts. Let's just say that. And it was just hilarious because what tickles me about people have amnesia, act like when we were coming through, they wasn't wearing biker shorts and Daisy Dukes. We started that trend. So, to see that, but man, just to once again, and we talked about this, to see the different generations of the old and the new and all, as they say, the coming of the home, man, it's still a good feeling. And my class of 88, we're all going to turn 55 next year. So we're doing a big 88 to 55. So we're having a big thing for all us turning 55. Because, hey, man, we ain't got too many more of these in us. So we got to set it out, man. We got to set it out.
Well, you should have told Coach to take it easy on my Tigers, but we'll get into that.
Let me tell you something. Are we going to talk about this now? Or do we want to get
No, go ahead. We're going to wait. We're going to wait.
I got a message to deliver.
We got to wait. But the other thing I want to say is, this is something I wanted to mention other week, is that when I went to Southern, people started saying happy homecoming, and I thought, oh, well, maybe that's just a Southern thing. And then I went to Prairie View and people were saying, hey, happy homecoming. You know what I mean? So is that a greeting during homecoming, like happy homecoming?
It's like Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So it wasn't just a Southern thing.
No,
it's an HBCU thing. All right.
That is a homecoming thing. That is a greeting of as they say, term of endearment, like Happy Easter, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yes, sir.
Hey, see now he being ugly. He trying to be ugly.
No, that's my nephew. I still love him. Crook, no, I'm gonna say this, Crook. I love you, but you was getting me in trouble with some business. But he right. Hey, thick 36 is now big 30. Hey, big 50. But let me tell you something about big 56. Big 56 is still fine. See, we great on the curve, Crook. We great on the curve.
All right, guys. Let's look at some of last week's actions, last week results. This is kind of like what I would call the independents. They're not in a HBCU conference, so to speak, and they all got their butt whooped. They didn't do good against the whites that week. But A&T is A&T'ing. Hampton had a really tough day against Villanova.
Yeah.
And UT Martin, man, Tennessee State gave UT Martin all they asked for and then some, man. And unfortunately, Eddie George fell on the short end of this, man. But I was really, excited to see what they did against Tennessee Martin, man, because they really had a chance to win conference. And it looks like they probably won't do it with the loss to Tennessee Martin, but they gave them hell in the process. What do you guys think?
Well, they got Southeast Missouri is up in the top as well, and he hasn't beat neither one of those schools since he's been there. And, to be there, you got to beat the best up at the top. Of course, I coached in that conference, and UT Martin wasn't that good when we were there. I mean, we ended up beating them 77-0. or 76-0, something like that. And they've really put a lot of money into that program to get it going in the right direction. So almost don't count in football, only in horseshoes. But when you are the highest paid coach, they expect those different results. But he made a good showing, meaning that he has moved the program. The program, it depends on how he finished. He looks like he's on the up at Tennessee State. I think this is his 5th year, I want to say. So
no, it's his 4th year.
Fourth year. So it's just taking a little longer, and maybe he'll get over the hump next year.
All right. You got anything you want to add, Campbell, before we move on?
Well, one of the things Coach talked about it, and again, he did, and Coach mentioned Southeast Missouri State is leading the conference. UT Martin, Tennessee Tech, then Tennessee State. That was a big game that put them right there in the running. And Coach, have they played Southeast Missouri yet?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought. So that would have set them up to potentially, like, as Coach said, to win the conference. Right. But what we want Tennessee State to do, and Coach knows this, we want them to be a winning program. Let's get that there. Right. Let's get them to be that 8, 9, 10 win program. Challenge for the conference. I think Eddie, like I say, he's got an outside shot at 8. He's at 6 now. Yeah. So can he get 2 more in the last? Well, they got 9 games, 3 more games. Can he go 2-1 to get to that 8th win, to really say, hey, this is where Tennessee State's coming back. But I was unable, like I said, again, due to all the things I was doing, I didn't get to see a lot of games this weekend, but I did peep this score out because I was curious. And of course I did see the game on Thursday night with the big game that I know we're going to talk about.
One of the histories about Tennessee State and getting them back where they were, they would play Florida A&M every year, Jackson State every year. They didn't play the schools they playing now, but I get it. I understand his strategy. A win is a win. Winning teaches you some good things, and you want to be on the winning side. So my hat and hands go off to Eddie George and what he's doing up there at Tennessee State.
Yeah, like I say, I want him to do well, Coach. Too, I'm with you, and I want him to do it big, similar to the way that Dion did it. But it doesn't look like his is going to happen as quick or as fast. But I think he's on the right trajectory, Coach. And as a coach, have you put him in that 25% yet? Or is he still working his way into it, Coach?
Coach, he's still working his way into it. We you guys have got, I got this word from both of y'all guys. Tennessee State used to be a blue-blood program of HBCU. In the top 3, would you say that, Coach?
Well, 100%, because you're going to talk about national championships, players put in the NFL, depending on which list you look, they're number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, and Hall of Famers
Hall of Famers, absolutely.
Yeah. And they used to play that type of schedule, Coach. They played all the best. They didn't, now, you got Valley on the schedule, Lane College on the schedule. You got Arkansas Pine Bluff on the schedule. He don't have our big dogs, Jackson State, Florida A&M, North Carolina A&T, Southern University, and then they go into their conference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we ain't there. We ain't ready to give him we ain't ready to put him up there yet, Coach. But hey, let's say he 50 to 74.
All right. He ain't in the bottom 25. Is that what you're saying, Coach?
Yeah. He ain't in the bottom 25.
All right, Coach. So here we go. This is a game I don't have the Morgan State score correct. It was they won a barn burner, 37-38. This is another game that Norfolk was in control of for a while, and they end up giving it up right at the end. And so I want to say the better team won, but I'm not accustomed to Morgan State giving up that many points. And so, but it was a really good game. I must admit.
Yeah. It's glad to see Norfolk put some numbers up. Unfortunately, again, close is only counting horseshoes. He needs to get some wins. He's running out of time. We hate to see anybody, where their job is in jeopardy. But after 4 years, these are the games you should be winning and not losing to, first year coaches or second year coaches. You've been in this program for 4 years. You should be ready to go. Your kids should understand your strategy of what you're doing. I don't believe in moral victories. A win is a win, and loss is a loss. So my hat goes off to Morgan State.
So, Coach, sitting at 3-7 in your 4th year,
I hate to say it.
With 2 games left, Coach. What? Put your administrator hat on, Coach. What do you do here, Coach?
See here. What this was what I do. Just administrator. Hey guys, administrator hat. I'm not a coach. After 4 years, I think any coach who's worth his salt, and this is just Johnnie Cole's belief, is that in his 3rd year he should be pushing for a title. Maybe not to win it, but push it. His 4th year, I want him there. You know what I mean? Winning season, I'll take 74, 83, depends on what program. Norfolk is a perennial losing program when you look back on the numbers. By now, I would have started my search for new coaches.
So, Coach, understanding that when he went up there, he signed I want to say a 6-year deal when he went up there.
Contract.
A 6-year deal when he went up there. Y'all can fact check me if I'm wrong, but that was one of the benefits from him going up there. I want to say he actually took a equal to or even a pay cut to get those 6 years of security.
Well, then I got to give him year 5. I got to give him year 5 if you're talking about 6 years. I got to, even though it's ugly, and next year he's got to come out. He got to come out like he's Secretariat, like it's the Kentucky Derby. By the time mid-season, we're not gonna be sitting at 2-3. You know what I mean? We gonna be sitting at 3-1, 4-1, 4-2 by the time our 5th year. If not, right about now, as an AD, I would be looking at putting things out about a new coach. Of who I'm gonna interview. Let him finish the season. After that season, that next week, I got interviews coming in. And I'll probably let him know the last game of the season as he go into
it. Now, Coach, let me ask you this. How unheard of is a 6-year contract?
Unheard of. Never heard of it. I even heard of a 10-year contract with what my man signed with Texas A&M. But on our level, I've never heard of a 6-year contract. 5 is the most.
What about you, Mr. Campbell? Have you heard of such?
No, not on the first round. you get that to the guy that's been winning, and you don't want to let him go. But on that first rip, I mean, Coach knows this is usually, like I say, 4 years. It used to be the standard. Now they've gotten it down to 3 years. Yeah. So I'm with you on that. But I think Norfolk, honestly, they were trying to show that they were making a commitment to football. I think that's what it was. I think they felt that which again, Coach, based off his background at Southern, you know what I mean? They had gotten a winner. So we can't say he was not a winner at Southern. So I think they said, you know what, we want to make a commitment. We want to show our alumni we're making a commitment. I think they threw in those extra years. But unfortunately, and then the thing about it is now, to Coach's point, now the offense looks like it's starting to roll, but it looks like we're 4 or 5 games too late.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So Howard had they didn't overlook Delaware State going into their big matchup next week. They handled business. We thought I honestly early in the season thought Delaware State had made some strides toward being more competitive in the MEAC. And to be honest with you, they did better against the whites than they did all the blacks. And so can you guys explain me that, right? Generally that it's usually the opposite situation for most HBCUs. You struggle against the whites, and then you play more competitively against the blacks. How can you guys explain what's going on here?
Go ahead, Coach.
Well, you got to understand something, and I heard this, and Coach is going to understand it. You're in the conference play now. These teams know each other. These teams understand what you do. They have more to get up for. So again, when you're playing a team that you don't consistently play, you're able to do a couple of things. You got to understand something. Howard knows Delaware State playbook. They've seen it. They know what they're going to run. They know what their players are capable of. So this is what you kind of see. Kind of the water kind of levels out when you start getting into conference play. You're not going to just see where all of a sudden where you can just kind of sneak a guy compared to when a team that's played you and they kind of know your strengths and weaknesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on.
Let me give a shout out to Farasi Norman. I just want to give a shout out to him, brother that want to coach in HBCU real strong. But go ahead, coach.
Verasi Norman, I got you. All right. All right, coach. This was a big game. This is a big game. This was a really, really entertaining game. And I'll just recap it by saying you guys can add your commentary as well. NCCU struggled mightily early, having one first down in the first half. But then once they got into the second half, they kind of got their foot in the third half. And in the fourth quarter, they really closed the gap and made the game. The game was very competitive right at the end. But with 6 minutes left, I believe, South Carolina State was able to run the ball out, if I'm not mistaken. So what was you guys' impression of this game, and how was this a big win by Chennis Berry or a huge disappointment by Trey Oliver?
You want me to go first, Coach?
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what's so great about what we did last week. You remember we gave our grades out for the coaches, our first-year coaches, and we gave this coach.
Go ahead and rub it in. Go ahead.
Gave him an A.
You gave him an A. You gave him an A.
I want you to correct me because I knew I want you to correct me.
Yeah.
You see, the dean didn't want to give him an A, but the professor had to give him an A because I knew what he was working with. Now, we already said that Trey Oliver is the gold standard, so we already know he's already graduated. But to see what Chennis Berry did on that Thursday night, and to see that he brought and put his particular game plan together. And again, I just got to give a shout out to Eric Phoenix, who just went crazy. Like I said, Eric Phoenix, again, 26 for 36, 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, 60 yards rushing, a very, as people want to say, controversial rushing touchdown that basically won the game as their last score. You know, hey, listen, they were ready. Those fans were ready. And I tell people this, and Coach knows this, if you watch HBCU football, there are certain teams that home field advantage means something. And when you go down to Grambling, no matter what their record is, the whole and the pride of that, and you see all that, but South Carolina State's the same thing. Because what did Buddy Pugh say? From my understanding, he told us, hey, look up there. You see, we need to add another one of those, which talked about all those championships that they had. So when you are part of that and you get in there, hey, man, you're going to get in a dogfight. So I think they executed there. But again, North Carolina Central, being who and what they are, said, you know what? We're going to make adjustments, and literally almost pulled this off. It was a great game. I was excited that everybody in HBCU land got to watch it. I think this is the type of rivalry we need. 2 young coaches, 2 coaches that are very articulate and able to explain and animated. We like that. So I think this is going to be a rivalry for the ages.
Yeah, Trey Oliver was hot as fish grease, as they say, on the east side of Waco. And at the end of the game, he thought he may have been victim of a bad spot, and he let the referee have it. And so, but I just think things like that happen. Coach, what was your impression, Coach?
Well, you know, the game is 60 minutes. Unfortunately for North Carolina State, they played only 30, and you could tell how good their team is and how good their staff is in making a big adjustment in the second half and coming out. They had only one first down, as you said, but they got that the last 30 seconds of the game. I mean, a half. I thought they found their spots open. I think they had opportunities on the 3rd and 21 when they got Phoenix out, and he ended up going, I think, 26 yards, something like that. When I felt that maybe you should have put a little pressure. And as I was watching the game, I seen, and this is my first time I've seen Trey Oliver first unhinged. First time I've ever seen him not comfortable. He's really calm. I've seen him in the Celebration Bowl when he beat Dion in even a bigger game. And I seen him lose his cool. That was for the first time. And I knew he was concerned and worried. I think offensively, they could have done a better job in the first half. They couldn't get their footing, but a lot of that came because defensively wise, they couldn't get South Carolina State off the field. I mean, they had 16 first downs in the first half. Sometimes you don't even get 16 first downs in a game. So I felt offense couldn't get going, defense couldn't get off the football field. Second half, offense really couldn't get going. They had big play after big play after big play. That means that South Carolina State kind of rested, but North Carolina Central had an opportunity to win this game, on the 3rd and 1, or I think it was the 4th and 1, that they had an opportunity to make a first down and they missed it. And then when they came down and had South Carolina 3rd and 21, and Phoenix escaped out and he didn't get the first down, but he got close enough.
He got 20.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that was the ball game. But two great teams. Can't say enough about Chennis Berry. We all know that he was going to be a great one to have. Trey, just got to lick his wounds, man. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with North Carolina Central. They're not going to go to the toilet. He just got to lick his wounds, and he just got to hope for some help. South Carolina State and Chennis Berry. Of course, I know Chennis know he ain't out to force. Now everybody looking for him. His APB out on beating South Carolina State. You know what I'm saying? So
that's interesting. Does one win make you the hunted?
In that conference, yeah, because it's in the MEAC. They only got 6 teams. You know what I mean? They only play 5 games. So once you lose one, man, he looking for who to beat him. Morgan State or Norfolk State or what is it? Howard? Is it Howard?
I think
Delaware State. That's it.
I think South Carolina is up in the conference because I think they already have a win against Norfolk State, if I'm not mistaken.
So they looking to lose against Delaware State. That ain't gonna happen. Morgan State possible. You know what I'm saying?
And Howard.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So
they got Howard, Morgan State, and Norfolk. They play Howard next week.
So really, they got to win 2 out of the 3, which they'll beat Delaware State.
But they already beat them. They beat them.
Yeah. That's the one they beat. They already beat Delaware State.
So they got Norfolk. So they got Norfolk. Right. So that's a tough schedule left there now. That's a tough schedule. But North Carolina Central, of course, got to take care of their business, and hopefully that they lose too. So it was a great game. It's MEAC type of football game. A lot of great hits, running the football, power football. Great MEAC game.
Hey, and Campbell, I'll let you announce these games. These games right here. There's some interesting results, but I'll let you go ahead and walk us through those.
Well, look, I was able to peep, but I'm gonna start. My people at Prairie View. Prairie View, 17. Mississippi Valley, 16.
Can we pray for them?
Man, listen.
Are they the worst team in the league now?
Man, listen. The shirts arrived in that small country. They sent them back, coach. They said they got internet. They got cell phones. They said, we don't want these. Come on, Prairie View. What are we doing? 17, 16, this is one of the things, and again, but I'm going to tell you what Prairie View scares me. Now, watch they play their heart out against FAMU this weekend. They're going to play their living heart out against FAMU this weekend. But Prairie View, 17-16 against Mississippi Valley. I mean, this is tough right here.
Is that a de facto loss in the grand scheme of things? I know it's an actual win, but is it because of the result and who it was against? Is it a de facto loss?
Well, Coach will say all wins are good wins, so I'm going to let Coach answer that. But as a fan and as a team, as a fan and somebody who picked Prairie View to win the West, you're just disappointed because you want to see them, again, win these type of games, kind of get their foot in and say, hey, you know what, we're going to finish off strong. But, hey, man, Valley had a shot. And you got to understand something. It was 10-3 going into the fourth quarter. Valley was winning this game.
Wow.
do you guys know that Mississippi Valley in the last 3 years almost is down 1-2, almost was up 2-1 on Prairie View? They struggle for some reason. Coach McDowell and them Prairie View Panthers, they struggle with Valley. No matter how good they are, they struggle with Valley, whether it's at home or whether it's away. You remember the year they were supposed to go to the championship and lost to Valley?
Yeah, they lost to Valley. They lost to Valley bad, 21-7.
Bad.
It was 200 people at the game, though.
And now, wow. It'd probably be less if it was. It was at Edabina, right?
No, it was at Prairie View.
Oh, the game was at Prairie View?
It was a weekend before Thanksgiving, and it was 200 people.
Yeah, you talking about that game?
Yeah, you talking about that game? Yeah. Yeah. So this game, I don't know. It looked like it was at Valley.
No, this one was in Edabina.
Yeah. So, for some reason, Coach got to get his team up to go in there and play them. I remember when I was in Texas Southern, and we went down there to play. In all the other years, it's tough playing down in Edabina. You got Greenwood and Greenville, and Edabina sits right in the middle, and it's surrounded by cotton fields. Rocky, you got to go down to cotton fields and catfish camp. So it's tough. Ain't nothing going on. It's the hotel off the road. Willie Todd lived down the street. I'm gonna give a shout out to Willie Todd because he used to tell me all the time, Coach, I used to hear the band play on my porch. So it's that type of atmosphere down there. And Prairie View has not been at the bottom for a while. So we want to give them a shout out in that way. We knew when they had the 0-88 team where they still stayed in the cellar and they finally got out and got their head up. But now they back down in the cellar. But the sad part about it is, and we're going to bring the man on later, the G-Man is down in the cellar. What is happening, guys? What is happening to the conference?
Let me say this, and Mr. Campbell may know more about this situation than I do. But it was a report by Offscript that Jackson State got access to UAPB's playbook, which led to this 41-3 victory.
Okay. Listen, okay, all right. Listen.
Now is he banned from Jackson State? Is that? I'm hearing this information as well. Let's somebody tell me about our people.
Who banned from Jackson State?
Is who?
It's Scotty.
Okay.
You talking about Scotty?
Yeah, I'll let him speak on that. I don't know if he's banned from Jackson State. I can't speak. But I won't speak on this. This thing. Okay, so there's two sides of it, right? If it did happen, okay, fine. But the second part, it doesn't matter if it did happen. Jackson State was still going to beat they behind 41-3. So, I think, again, if the players, because, again, we all hear the stories. The players got it. They made a joke about it. But I heard it was more of a joke. Hey, we know what y'all players are, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe that T.C. Taylor and the defense, hey, we need their playbook to win this game. So I think the problem is perception comes reality. But Jackson State did not. Trust me, I said they were going to beat these guys by 3 touchdowns. I was on with Mike Reed. I told him to go high and tell them they were going to score 40. I think, again, what happens with a lot of times with a lot of these kids, they all know each other. They do a lot of stuff. And, people get back. Because, first of all, this is not the first time this has happened, okay? But I think we're trying to make this out like this was like TC and them had a whole game plan, and they needed this to beat UAPB. I'm sorry. Now, from a morality part, if the conference wants to say, hey, this is not what we're about, man, go on and make the statement and keep it moving. But to leave this thing hanging out there on Jackson State is just some BS, man. Jackson State was going to beat their behind no matter what. I mean, and like I said, I'm a SWAC fan. I respect, again, the integrity of the game. But let's not act like that UAPB was going to have any chance to beat.
Well, this is what I was saying. I'll let Coach go after I say this. If Coach gave me UAPB's plays, I'd give them back if I was Jackson State because I say I don't need them. You know what I mean? If I was a player. I mean, Jackson State is just that good. As you mentioned, Coach Cole, you see them as a dominant team in the SWAC. And so this kind of controversy, though it may be good to talk about, I don't think it factored into the outcome, to be perfectly honest with you. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I mean, what's the difference in giving up signals with the University of Michigan? And that shit went on the whole season. And what did they do? They didn't do a darn thing because they understand the magnitude of what Michigan was trying to do. Leave them Jackson State Tigers alone. They making a push. Maybe this is the team in the SWAC that will make a push in the playoff. Oh, we ain't going to the playoff. Oh, I spoke too early. But anyway, just kidding. Hey, man, we need Jackson State to represent us in that celebration mode. You know, I'm still a SWAC guy, you know, even though I'm neutral, but I would love to see the SWAC go to the celebration bowl. And I think we're going to have a good shot with them Jackson State Tigers.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you, hold on, Rocky. You know what? I'm going to tell you what, if I was Jackson State, I would sit back there. Let's just, again, because nobody knows, because like I said, I'm not in the SWAC office. But let's just say, okay, whatever players got. You know, if I was Jackson State, and with Smooth, their AD, I would get with TC and say, listen, TC, this is what we're going to do. We're going to say for the integrity of the game, we're going to sit you down for a half of the Valley game. You know what I'm saying?
No, we ain't doing that.
They right here crying about it. What I'm saying is, these people are crying about it like Jackson State needs to be punished. So I'm saying that if you want to play this game, then you know what? Because they're going to beat Valley no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Because you got people say, oh, well, this and that. Man, I'm like, listen, I would be smooth like whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell y'all a story. All right, real quick. Well, I got 2 minutes story. When I first started in this game, I was a GA back in 1986, coach. And I was the film guy. And back in those days, it was on 18 millimeter. I don't know if I know some of my fans don't know that. It was 18 millimeter. And after the game, I would get the tape and we would take it down there for them to process it. And I used to have to sit out. I'm going to speed it up. Then I would bring it to the office, and then I would cut it up. I would splice it, cut it, tape it up. Offense, defense tape. Then I would call, and we were playing Alcorn State. And Alcorn didn't send us. We used to have to go down there, put it on the bus, and get it sent. All right? All that had to be done by Sunday night. And so what happened was Alcorn, we didn't get Alcorn's tape till Tuesday. But this, that's the SWAC. And I can remember, guys, when we got to Alcorn to play them in normal, I was at Texas Southern, and we exchanged tapes. And I was like, Coach Marino, y'all send us the tapes, ladies. He said, oh, Coach, it don't matter. Y'all don't have a chance today anyway.
Man, you had the tapes, the plays, all that, man. So like I say, again, I want to say this for, period. We don't know. We ain't heard. Again, like Rocky said, and people, like I say, Scotty has every right. And like I say, one thing I will say, that if somebody told him that, because I do know him, somebody probably did tell him that, and it to be something behind it. Now, what it is, but as far as people sit back here and act like that had anything to do with this game, and look, first of all, Jackson State has not let anybody score in the second half of the last 3 games. Yeah. That is crazy.
Well, the thing about it, man, is I know my playbook is out there, and when I was coaching, they, guys knew my signal. It didn't really matter to me. You had to beat me. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. It can be somewhat of advantage. You don't want that stuff happening because that's not good for the league that people are giving out film stuff. So I think it's not going far. It's gonna fall in the lap of the commissioner, Charles McCullin. I'm pretty sure he'll make a decision on it, but I don't think it's gonna be.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this, Coach. Let me ask you this here, Coach, because I have friends in coaching, and this is Power 5 coaching. And they say what has happened is because they've worked with other guys, say like, just give you an example. Say Alabama's DC worked with Georgia's DC at one point, and they have a common opponent in back-to-back weeks. Georgia's DC had a real successful game plan, and I've heard situations where if it's Ole Miss or some type of rival, Auburn, whatever, he'll just go ahead and pass over the game plan that worked against them, right? So that in the rival game, that school will have a tougher time with the school they're playing, right? Go ahead.
That happens all the time, Coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I got different guys huddle today, and I sit and evaluate and watch film today, and I'll talk to my brother, or I'll talk to some kid I coach, or I talk some coach called me about, what you see and everything. Everybody is trying to get an edge, on this game, and a lot of coaches. Here's a big one. Let's just say you opening the season up with a team you ain't played. And so everybody calls around and find out who they know who have played this team, or you got a new coach coming in. Hey man, what John Doe like to do? Everybody is trying to get an edge.
Coach, I wasn't gonna mention it, but I know a coach to call you, talk your head off Saturday morning for the game. They got a game on Saturday, and they talk your head off before they gotta call plays and line up and play. And so I know that to be true. And so that anyway.
Yeah.
Rocky, let me tell you one story. And Coach is gonna understand this. And this is what I'm saying. What coaches do this all the time. Literally, Bobby Bowden's son was the coach at Auburn. He called his dad. We were playing Florida. His daddy called him at halftime and say, "Hey, I'm telling you what Florida's about to run. I'm watching the game. This is what you need to do." So, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. And they laughed about it. We see the play. I'm going to tell you what that formation that they're running, this is what they do out there formation during the game at halftime. So, man, again, and or this is famous. How many times we heard all the MEAC coaches get together and game plan
against Deion.
And they laughed about it.
Well, hell, it didn't help because he beat them all 2 years in a row.
No. This is the MEAC coaches in the SWAC championship.
The MEAC.
In the Celebration Bowl. In the Celebration Bowl.
And help Buddy Pugh on first year, Trey Oliver next year to game plan against Jackson State. And they thought it was funny and was talking big stuff about it.
Oh yeah.
Now I'll let you go ahead and speak about this game, and we'll get through it pretty quick. But your Bethune-Cookman finally got a win. Unfortunately, it's against one of your teams you really support and love. What do you think about that?
But here's the thing. Shout out to Ken Rashad, HBC Sport Grambling guy. And we were watching the coaches call. And I asked Ken, I said, what is the record of Bethune against Grambling? Bethune is like 5-1 against Grambling last 6 games. That is unheard of. So Bethune has had Grambling's number. Again, I told everybody the 2 years that Grambling went to the Celebration Bowl, they only lost to one HBCU team. That was Bethune-Cookman in those 2 years. And then they've beaten, I think, Grambling 3 out of the what's this? This is the 4th year, right? 3 out of 4 years that they've been.
Well, this Grambling team ain't going to no Celebration Bowl.
Can I ask something? What does that got to do with the price of tea in China?
Well, I'm just saying that clearly they have confidence in playing Grambling. That's what I'm saying. They have a record that they have shown in the last 5 games that they have played Grambling with and beaten them.
Well, I know they probably was there when Coach Jenkins was there. That's when Bethune was really doing a great job. Yeah. So so again, Bethune gets the win, and Grambling, like I say, it's it's going to be interesting as this season finishes out for Grambling. Well, Coach Mickey Joseph is a good friend of mine, and they're struggling. As the old saying, if somebody tell you who they are, that's who they are. We went back and forth a little bit about Grambling beat Jackson State when I had talked to Mickey, because it was right before the State Farm Classic. He felt real good about his Grambling Tigers. But when, we talked about the stats and stuff here, where Jackson State had 5 turnovers, and it just caught up with Jackson State. You can't continue to have 5 turnovers and win games. And that's why, Campbell, I was telling you why I felt Jackson State was dominating the conference. It was because when I won the championship, we were averaging 4 turnovers a game. But we were that great on defense. You know what I mean? Our defense was that great. You know how you have a dominant offense or a dominant team? Our defense was dominant. We only gave up an average of 12 points a game. So offensively, it made where I could do a lot of different things on offense to score points. Gremlin is where they are. They just where they are, Coach. I don't, I've listened to Coach Mickey Joseph talk about making changes, starting with him. The coaches are not getting it done. The kids are fighting, but it's not working. So he really, really gonna have to make some decisions before the school make a decision on him. And as we know, we've seen his contract. He has a 2-year contract. The 3rd year is optional, but it's the school's option. And that's a tough contract, man. And now when you talking about making changes, you got to think, well, who's gonna come there, for 1 year, or are they gonna give out 2-year contracts? You know what I'm saying? I mean, speaking of myself, if I'm asked, I'm gonna say, look, Coach, I don't mind coming, but I need 2 years, Coach. I can't come and leave my family and leave the job I got and come in there and we don't get it. And in 4 months, I'm out of there. So Gremlin, Coach Joseph, they're in a real tough situation.
Coach, let me ask you a question. You made me think about something. So they see the situation with Coach Joseph, and let's just say later on he moves on for maybe another opportunity or whatever. What do other coaches, when they see these contracts and things, do they look at that and say, that looks like a situation I might not want to be a part of? Do they factor that in when they're looking at that if they're potentially offered for the job?
Well, two things on that. Is it a coach that's just looking for a job, that's out of work? Or is it a guy that's a place where he's winning and he's doing well? And what you always say, Coach, who they should be looking for?
A winner!
A winner! So a winner is looking at it and saying, nah, I'm going to stay where I'm at. A guy that just floating through, which most of them, 75% of them are floating through, they'll take it. Just to say I'm a head coach and I got a contract.
Hey, Coach, and we'll talk about this later on because we got a huge Gremlin night that'll be on the show pretty later in a few, to be honest with you. But what about this Southern A&M game? Southern was down a lot in this game. They were down quite a bit in this game, Coach, and somehow at the very end they managed to get a victory.
Coach, can I ask our crowd? So can some Southern night out there tell us? I like to hear their perspective. Every game is a nail biter.
Man, it's a bunch of them in the chat. They know who they are. Come on, they know. Drop that number, Rocky. They all in the chat. They've been waiting for people to talk about Southern the whole year anyway.
Yeah. Look, Coach, I want them to find out. It's a nail biter. One thing about it keeps everybody in the seat. What's going to happen the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game? And it don't matter what the team is. The team could be at the bottom or the team could be at the middle. When they play teams at the top, they get slaughtered. And unfortunately, you talking about a rabbit's foot? Man, Southern got.
I told you they got a monkey knuckle that they have. But
man, I'm gonna say this real quick, Rocky, real quick. I have made bets for these past, since, as they say, the Dion era on all these shows, and I literally am like 30-0. And I made a bet with my nephew, Tedrin, that Southern would not make it to the SWAC championship game. $200. And damn, I'm about to have to pay this off. 200. I mean, I have not lost. If people still owe me money, you know who you are. That played at Prairie View. I ain't gonna say your name, but you played at Prairie View. You owe us money, FAMU. For FAMU beating you behind last year twice, but I ain't gonna say your name. But I have never lost. Avis Heath has even paid me my money. Good brother, Avis paid my money. I'm gonna have to pay some money out. I cannot believe this. But let me say one thing though. I got to give credit because Vera made a point. You got to talk about T-Set. And I'm looking at this. I didn't get a chance to see this game, but I did see that it stuck out to me. 24 for 37, 294 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kobe Dillon, 19 carries, 85 yards. So, hey, man, I'm going to tell you something. Southern has their quarterback of the future. This kid is going to be dangerous. So, like I said, big kid that can throw the ball, knows the Southern culture. Hey, man, they got somebody down there.
Hey, Coach, let's get through these last 2 games.
Okay.
Really quick, we got our featured guest on. You're listening live
with what
on
you need
HBCU
to know.
Coaches Corner.
Today, it's Monday, November 11th, 2024. Number 1. Yes, today, November 11th, is Veterans Day, once known as Armistice Day, marking the end of World War I. Every November 11th, our country honors military veterans of the United States Armed Forces. 1 year ago, the Pew Research Center reported there are more than 18 million living American veterans. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, as of 2024, there are approximately 2 million living African American veterans in the United States, representing 12% of the total veteran population. And we thank you for your service. Number 2. The investigation continues into post-election text messages sent the day after last week's election to young African Americans. Described as racist in nature, the texts have been reported in at least 14 states, primarily targeting young black people from grammar school age to college students. The text states the person receiving the message was selected to pick cotton at a plantation. A representative from TextNow, a mobile provider that allows people to create phone numbers for free, told ABC News that once the accounts that were allegedly behind the text were reported, their teams disabled the accounts in less than an hour. Number 3, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration announced a proposal to remove oral phenylephrine, a common ingredient in many popular over-the-counter decongestants from the market, citing evidence that it doesn't work. This drug, phenylephrine, found in products like Sudafed PE, Vicks, Dayquil, and Mucinex Sinus Max, have been widely used as a nasal decongestant for decades. The FDA's proposal is not an immediate order. It launches a 6-month public comment period, after which the agency will make a final decision on whether to pull it from shelves. Number 4, body camera footage shows Dwayne Hicks, an unarmed black man, being tased by a white North Carolina officer in his driveway after the officer followed him home and began ticketing him again. Hicks' attorney claims that Hicks posed no danger and has reported similar complaints of racial discrimination and excessive force against this officer, Mark Oakley. Oakley, previously dismissed by the Warrenton Police Department, is now under investigation by the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation for improper use of force. Number 5, the 116th Annual Church of God in Christ, or COGIC, Holy Convocation is currently being held in Memphis, Tennessee, drawing over 200,000 attendees. COGIC, the 5th largest Christian denomination in the U.S. and the largest African American Pentecostal group worldwide, was founded in 1897 by Charles H. Mason and C.P. Jones. With nearly 7 million members across the 112 countries, COGIC's mission focuses on salvation and includes key ordinances like Holy Communion, feet washing, and water baptism, alongside a belief in the Bible's infallibility and the Trinity. Read more about COGIC in today's Ministry Monday. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Be a messenger of peace by spreading kindness in your words and actions. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, the American Heart Association and Black Health Matters. I'm Sybil Wilkes.
My name is Danny Wilson, and I won $500 on the lunch break with AJ Jones.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.